It was a cold, gray morning in a small American town. One of those mornings where the frost clings to your boots and even the sun seems too tired to rise. Daniel Harper, a 42-year-old single dad and former Marine, stood outside the local diner staring at the help wanted sign taped to the window. His jacket was worn thin, the cuffs frayed, and his eyes carried the heavy exhaustion of a man who'd seen too much of war and life. Inside, his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, was sipping on the last bit of hot cocoa they could afford. A though $1.50 treat he'd let her have because, as he always said, a father's job is to keep his little girl smiling, no matter what. Daniel had been out of work for months. His savings were gone, his truck was nearly out of gas, and the only cash he had left in his wallet was supposed to get them home. As they walked out of the diner, Daniel noticed a man sitting beside a loud Harley. A biker with a thick leather jacket, grease-stained jeans, and a faraway look in his eyes. He was fiddling with an empty gas can. Daniel paused. "Everything okay, man?" he asked. The biker sighed, "Ran out of gas. Left my wallet at the shop. Guess I'm walking 5 miles back." Daniel looked at the man, then down at his last $2. That money was supposed to be for gas to get his daughter home. But in that moment, Daniel didn't think twice. He reached into his pocket, pressed the 2 crumpled bills into the biker's hand, and said, "It's not much, but it'll get you what you need." The biker looked stunned. "Man, I can't take that." Daniel shook his head. "You look like you need it more than me today." The biker hesitated, then nodded slowly. "You got a kind heart, brother. What's your name?" "Daniel," he said. "Name's Ray. I owe you one, Daniel." Daniel smiled faintly. No debts between friends. Then he took his daughter's hand, and they walked away. That night, Daniel's truck finally gave up on him. The tank went dry halfway home. They spent the night in the cab, wrapped in an old blanket. Emma's small head resting on his arm as he stared out the window, wondering how much more life could take from them. The next morning, he was woken by the sound of engines. At first, he thought he was dreaming, but then he saw it. A line of motorcycles, 10, 20, 50 more, rolling up the road like a thunderstorm. The air shook with the roar of exhaust pipes and chrome. Daniel blinked. What on earth? A man stepped off the lead bike. Ray, the same biker from yesterday. He grinned wide beneath his sunglasses. "Told you I owed you one, brother," Ray said. "But I didn't say it'd just be from me." Behind him, nearly from across the state, parked their rides one by one. Each one took off their helmets, men and women of all ages, leather jackets bearing the same patch, the Iron Brotherhood, Veterans United. Ray explained, "When you helped me yesterday, I looked you up. Found out you're a Marine raising your little girl alone. You didn't just give me $2, man. You gave me faith that good still exists. So we figured we'd return the favor." Daniel stood there speechless as they opened the back of a truck. Out came groceries, boxes of clothes, an envelope with the $15,000 in donations, and then a shining surprise, a fully restored Ford pickup, deep blue and gleaming in the morning sun. Emma's eyes went wide. "Daddy, is that for us?" Ray nodded. "She's yours. We took care of the insurance too. You won't be sleeping in that old truck again." Daniel's throat tightened. His eyes brimmed with tears as he whispered, "I don't know what to say." Ray clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Don't say anything. Just promise you'll keep being the kind of man who gives, even when he's got nothing left." Daniel looked around at the crowd of bikers, people who looked rough on the outside, but whose hearts burned with loyalty and brotherhood. He saluted them, his voice trembling. "Semper Fi." The crowd erupted in applause. That night, Daniel and Emma drove their new truck home. For the first time in a long time, they had a full tank, a warm house, and a reason to believe in people again. Emma looked up at her dad. "Daddy, why did they help us?" He smiled softly. "Because kindness doesn't die, sweetheart. It just finds its way back to you, sometimes louder than 100 Harley engines. In a world that often feels cold and selfish, one small act of kindness can echo farther than you can imagine." Daniel gave his last $2 and thought he was losing everything. But in truth, he was gaining the kind of wealth money could never buy: community, compassion, and faith in humanity. Sometimes, when you give with your heart, the universe finds a way to return it, multiplied 100 times over. It was a cold, gray morning in a small American town, the kind of morning where you could see your breath and feel the weight of life in the air. Daniel Harper, a single dad and Marine veteran, stood outside a little diner, staring through the window. Inside, his 8-year-old daughter, Emma, was sipping hot chocolate, her tiny hands wrapped around the mug, her smile soft and innocent. That smile was everything to him, the only light that kept him moving forward. Daniel had been out of work for months. His savings were gone, his truck was barely running, and his wallet held just 2 crumpled dollar bills. That $2 was supposed to buy enough gas to get them home. As he walked out of the diner holding Emma's hand, he noticed a man sitting beside a big Harley on the roadside. The biker's face was weathered, his jacket worn, and beside him lay an empty gas can. "Everything okay, man?" Daniel asked. The biker sighed. "Ran out of gas. Left my wallet at the shop. Guess I'm walking 5 miles back." Daniel looked down at the $2 in his hand. He could almost hear his daughter's soft breathing behind him. For a moment, he hesitated, but then he smiled, took a breath, and held out the money. "It's not much," he said, "but it should get you enough to fill the tank." The biker looked at him, surprised. "You sure? You got your little girl there?" Daniel shrugged. "We'll be fine. Just make sure you get home safe." The biker stared for a moment, then slowly nodded. "You got a good heart, man. What's your name?" "Daniel." "I'm Ray," the biker said. "I owe you one." Daniel smiled faintly. No debts between friends. That night, Daniel's old truck sputtered to a stop halfway home. The tank was empty, and there wasn't a gas station for miles. He pulled over to the side of the road and leaned back, staring at the dark sky through the cracked windshield. Emma was asleep, wrapped in an old blanket. He looked at her, brushed her hair gently, and whispered, "It's gonna be okay, sweetheart." But deep down, he didn't know if that was true anymore. Morning came with the sound of thunder, not from the sky, but from the road engines. Dozens of them. Daniel opened his eyes and looked out the window. Motorcycles. Dozens, maybe hundreds, coming down the road like a roaring wave of chrome and leather. He stepped out of the truck, confused. Emma rubbed her eyes and whispered, "Daddy, what's happening?" The bikes stopped all around them. Engines revved, echoing off the trees. Then, from the front of the pack, a familiar voice called out, "Morning."